Hey guys, so I'm back and I've got a new video for you today with how I replaced this window in my house. Let's get started. So first off, I started by removing the old window and I pulled off these trim pieces that you can see, and they were just held in with a bunch of long staples. So I pulled all of those off first and then I brushed off the outside of it, and then after that, I've only ever seen one window replaced in my life, never had much experience with it, so I started cutting up this side of the wall to try and expose the nail flange so that I could get it out of the wall. Turns out I didn't need to do any of that. So this is me totally messing up and cutting a bunch of the siding off of my house. Pretty nice. This window needed replaced originally because of a overpowered spider smashing incident. So when I bought the window from Lowe's that was the right size to fit this frame, I bought one that was a new construction style window. One of the things that I did not know at the time was that there's a difference between new construction and replacement style windows. The only real difference is, of course, the nail flange that's around the outside of the window. So I went ahead and used a oscillating saw. I got a cheap oscillating saw from Harbor Freight and worked great with a flat blade to just shave all of the nail flange off and shave it flat with the side of the window. That was, of course, after some research to make sure that I had not totally screwed up this project by buying the wrong type of window. So after that, I went ahead and got some long sinker screws and screwed in the window with those long sinker screws now that the nail flange had been removed, and got it held securely in place. Before I did that, I went ahead and ran a thick bead of caulk all around the inner part of the frame that's going to be touching the window on the inside of the house so that it would seal it properly. It really helps to have at least two people doing a project like this to be able to hold in on the window, hold a little bit of pressure in towards the house while you're screwing those screws in. So one important thing to note on this window is that it has screws in several places that hold it into place. There are no screws holding it in the top of the window at all. That's because there's nothing to screw it into. It's just a gap up above there with the expansion foam and the inner frame for the window. So to hold it in place, it's got a screw here, one over there, one down here, and one right here, and then there's two in the bottom right here and right here, equally spaced apart. You want to make sure that the frame boards are very tight up against the window so that it does not pull out on the frame. You don't want your frame to get bowed out like this as you're screwing those screws in tight. And you want to make sure that they're just tight enough to hold the window in place, but not tight enough to pull and bow out your window like that, because you do not want to break these panes of glass or break your brand new window that you're trying to install. So make sure that those outer frame boards are very tight and close up against your window, or that you fill it in with some more shims to keep it tight. So after I got the window screwed into place, I put some expansion foam in all of the gaps and cracks that were fairly large around the inside of the inner frame as well, against the siding on the house. That's to help prevent drafts and keep it tight and weather sealed. The window manufacturer does recommend a low expansion foam. I'm guessing that's so that it has a more dense foam packed inside of it. I didn't have any of that at the time, so I just used the normal yellow expansion foam that I've got a picture of in the video right here. So after that, it was time to cut all of the new pieces of trim. I picked these up at Lowe's as well. I just got measurements for the old MDF trim that was on there before, and these are actually solid boards on here. So this is actually some solid wood instead of MDF on the trim now. So I measured them all. I was able to use the old trim, which was really handy. I just used it, laid it out on the new planks, marked it, and then cut them to length. And it fit really pretty snug around the whole thing. And I went ahead and filled in all of this with some indoor-outdoor caulk. You got to make sure that you use a lot of caulk in all of the spots that you're going to need to keep the water out, and especially in the top up there. I also filled in the top up there. There was a huge cavity where the inner frame didn't meet the outer frame, and there was a big gap above the window, and I went ahead and filled all that in with expansion foam as well. Now my expansion foam can broke about 2 seconds into using it, and I just started spraying foam everywhere, so I just had to hustle. Just had to keep using it until it was all done. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it like I did. I've never installed a window before, so this was a pretty fun project, and if you could give me a like and go ahead and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down in the comment section below, and I would love to hear from you. Thank you.